I've had some interesting facts that I just found out that some Trump voters are regretting voting for him. So if you are one of those, put it down why you regretted voting for him, because there's a lot of stuff coming out that he has been lying about. So just wanted to give you that update that there is a lot of people regretting voting for him. Have a good night.
PSA. MAGA supporters who are now regretting their vote. We don't care. What you need to do with that energy is you all form an alliance, right? And then you guys go and fight for what you know is right. But don't expect any flowers or a particular take parade because you guys have now come to your senses, right? Because your marbles was all thrown over the floor for the past, let's just say years. So if you are now a MAGA supporter and you know you made the wrong decision, baby, don't cry to us. Don't expect us to take you in with love. Don't expect us to just forget the fact that you voted against us, right? Because you need to now do some self-reflection and ask yourself why you voted against yourself, okay? That's it.
Don't cry to us. She's not wrong. But let me talk to the fellas for a second. You were the ones in group chats sending memes, the ones saying he's gonna fix everything, the ones calling everyone sheep, while following a dude who sold you golden sneakers, and now it's, I didn't know it would be this bad? Bro, your liberal cousin told you at Thanksgiving, your coworker told you, random people on the internet told you. You didn't listen because owning the libs felt better than thinking. The door isn't closed forever, but regret without action? That's just guilt with Wi-Fi. Show up to a town hall, call your representative, do something other than posting a sad TikTok.
Texas residents who live on the border are actively condemning Donald Trump ahead of his visit later today.
A community group had a press conference today about their thoughts. Take a listen.
Mr. Trump, change your ways, because what you're doing is you're hurting the people that need the most help. Our community, if you were to study the demographics, it's not easy. It's not easy being on the border. And this unwanted attention, this unwanted militarization of our community is unwelcome.
The Texas resident goes on to say in a press conference that Donald Trump is not welcome at the southern border in these border communities because his presence is doing more harm than good by placing a political spotlight on an issue that needs actual attention. Remember, a Senate bill had bipartisan support earlier this month until Donald Trump single-handedly decided to kill it. And now Senate Republicans and House Republicans refuse to pass really any border package to stop the migrant influx. And residents on the border are speaking out. As always, stay tuned for more.
Unwanted militarization. Those words are from Texans, not coastal elites, not blue state liberals, the people who live on that border every single day. Meanwhile, MAGA bros sit in Ohio, Michigan, Iowa, nowhere near the border, screaming about the invasion like they're military strategists. The people who actually live there are begging them to stop. And that bipartisan border bill, the solution was right there, both sides agreed. Then it got killed, not because it was bad, but because a broken border makes better campaign material than a fixed one. They chose politics over the country, and the Red Hats cheered while the thing they claimed to care about most got sabotaged. So next time some dude in a red hat says he cares about the border, ask him about that bill. Watch how fast the subject change.
There is this woman on this app that said that we should pity and we should also try to understand those people that's coming out and saying that they regret their vote for Trump. That the reason why she feel this way is because those same people, first of all, have the courage to get on this app and admit it. But for two, we're going to need those people in our fight. We're going to need them on our side. I politely got in her comments and said, I'm not going to coddle no grown-ass man or woman. I told that woman that I would not be coddling no grown-ass people. That's what got us here. I saw these people deny that Project 2025 wasn't a thing. That he can't take veterans' disability. He will not close down the Department of Education. This is a big one. They also said that he will not mass deport any immigrants. Oh, honey, all you got to do is show your papers and you're going to be fine. We were telling them, no, they will not be fine. Here we are seeing immigrants delivered to Guantanamo Bay, some of which have been citizens of America for 20 plus years, own businesses, have family, graduates, some veterans I heard. You want us to coddle them? I remember watching some of the same regrets during his first presidency. They were so regretful that they had round table talk. Some of these people have gray hair. They look to be somebody's grandparents. Look like they could be your grandparents. They still voted for that man. Even though information was shoved down their throat. They had an excuse for every fact. Now you want us to turn a blind eye to these people trying to sneak their way back onto this like nothing happened. Now there's planes falling out the sky. CDC or WHO is being banned. Aviation committees are being fired. FBI agents that investigated him is now fired. And he's saying that America will feel some pain. That this is going to be a little rough for us, but we'll make it through. Coming on this app admitting their wrongs does nothing for us. We knew they would change their mind. We knew they would come to the light at some point, which is why a lot of people cut their family members and friends off. I just didn't know he was going to be this bad. Ain't gonna work. Honestly, they're just taking up space at this point because I'm tired of seeing the video. At this point, they didn't do this one time. They did it twice. Y'all don't believe in patterns no more?
Twice, she said it. They did it twice. First time? Fine. Got caught up in the hype. The rallies were fun. The hat was cool. That's a mistake. But the second time? After January 6th? After 4 years of chaos? That's not a mistake. That's a choice. And remember when every comment section was flooded with Project 2025 is fake news? Now every single thing in that document is being implemented like a grocery list. Veterans losing disability, education getting gutted, citizens shipped to Guantanamo Bay. I just didn't know he'd be this bad. My brother. He told you exactly what he was going to do. You just thought he was only going to hurt the people you wanted him to hurt. That's not ignorance. That's karma.
I'm home with the plague. Finally got hit. But I had to tell a quick story from yesterday. I ran into this little old man when I was out, and he kept getting closer to me. And I was like, sir, I'm not sure if I'm sick or getting sick. Just need to, just give me a little space so I don't make you sick. And he's like, oh, okay. And we're just standing there, and he's just keeps talking to me. And people always love to tell me their life stories for some reason. I just have that kind of face, I guess. But he says, we started talking about measles outbreaks and stuff like that. And he was telling me I need to go get my shingles. And I was telling him he needed to go get his measles, redone and all that. And I was like, I wasn't expecting it because we're in Southeast Ohio, okay? And so this is, heavy conservative area. Now, I live in a very blue area, but around us are very conservative. And, he had a deep Southeastern Ohio accent, like the Appalachian sound. If you're in Ohio, you know that there's like the 4 quadrants have different accents basically, but so I'm from Southwest Ohio, he's from Southeast Ohio. So he's talking to me about this stuff, and I didn't expect him to be for vaccines, if I'm being real honest. I just didn't think that he would be, but he was telling me I need to go get vaccinated, make sure I'm taking care of myself. And then he goes, that idiot put Kennedy in charge. And number one, that was not at all what I was expecting to have come out of this man's mouth. Normally, when older men come up to me and say anything in this area, it's, Kennedy's going to save us. He's getting rid of the red dyes, which I'm okay with because my family's allergic to them. But he's going on about what an idiot he was. And he said, I voted for Trump. And I was like, wait, okay. I was not expecting, I didn't ask. It's not my business in this case. And he says, I voted for Trump. I've been a lifelong Republican. He goes, but that idiot put Kennedy in charge of our health. He goes, how dumb. That man does not even believe in vaccines. He said, now I just see all of them. He said, Trump, Kennedy, Musk. He goes, they're all just greedy. He said, they don't care about us. They don't want anything to do with us. He said, they just want their money. And I was like, well, what is going on? And he kept going on and on. I didn't bring up the conversation. I wasn't asking him anything about it. It was just kind of funny that he's just, relaying this to me. And I was like, listen, I'm in public health. I understand. I said, we think he's, I don't know anybody in health that thought he was a good pick. But he did say, he said, I will never vote Republican again. He said, I am going to be an independent.
A 78-year-old lifelong Republican from rural Appalachia just said, I will never vote Republican again. Let that marinate. This man probably has a Reagan portrait on his wall. He's been voting red since before most of you were born, and even he sees it now. They're all just greedy. They don't care about us. Coming from him, that's not commentary. That's a eulogy for a whole party and the Kennedy thing. MAGA bros spent months defending that pick. He's cleaning up Big Pharma. Bro, the man thinks Wi-Fi causes cancer. You put someone who doesn't believe in vaccines in charge of public health. That's like putting someone who's afraid of water in charge of the Navy. She didn't ask him anything, he just needed to tell someone. That's what guilt does, it finds an exit. If this is happening in random grocery stores in Ohio, imagine how many kitchen tables right now across the whole country.
He said, I just couldn't vote for Harris. And I said, I just kind of looked at him and he's like, you know. And I was like, oh, she's a black woman. So that was that. I didn't go into it any further because I was in a hurry and I knew that that was what it was. So no matter what, we're still living in a very racist, misogynist, society. We're not going to get away from it. But at least the upside is that he regrets his vote, he said. He told me he regretted voting for him. He said, but, Harris. But that's a turn, because I've heard so many people saying that people regret their votes. I haven't heard anybody saying that, really. Like, I've heard a couple people, I don't believe, on, social media. But this was a real live 78-year-old white man from rural Appalachia. I was like, okay, that's a start. So it made me, even though I was starting to feel sick, it kind of warmed my heart a little bit. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see some changes. I don't know. But I found it very fascinating.
And there it is, the quiet part out loud. I just couldn't vote for Harris. Then, yeah, we know, we always knew. A man who just spent 10 minutes explaining how the country is being destroyed still says he couldn't pick the other option. And the only reason is, that's not politics. That's prejudice with a voting booth. MAGA bros need to sit with this one. You would rather watch everything burn than be led by a black woman. Rather hand the keys to a guy who's been bankrupt 6 times than let a former prosecutor run things, and now that it's falling apart. You're not surprised. You're just finally feeling what everyone else has been feeling. Until they deal with that. The regret means nothing.
So, we'll see.
There is a path forward for Democrats in Texas. We're all a little snake bit maybe about getting too worked up about polls, but a new one seems to indicate that more and more Texans are getting fed up with Trumpy crap. Popularity numbers are way down for the whole cast of MAGA characters. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Governor Abbott, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, all underwater with negative numbers. It's especially bad for Senator John Cornyn, negative 22 points in popularity. Just as Ken Paxton's numbers are actually up, but still underwater. Those two, Paxton and Cornyn, have been beefing in public lately. A Paxton primary against Cornyn is a safe bet. It just so happens that the governing committee of the Texas Democratic Party is picking a new chair for the first time in over a decade this weekend. That person's going to be in charge of finding and funding a great candidate for Senate. Our executive director, Kathleen Thompson, was quoted by the Dallas Morning News yesterday wondering if Texas Democrats have learned any lessons about spending wisely in elections. That's going to be on the new TDP chair too. Not an easy job. Who would you put up for Senate next year? Let us know in the comments. I'm Chris Mosier in Austin. Lots more in today's Daily Dispatch. Find it everywhere you stream Progress Texas podcasts.
Negative numbers for everyone. In Texas, the fortress, the stronghold, and they're losing it. Cornyn at negative 22. That's not a dip. That's a crater. That's 0 likes on your Instagram post from your own family. And the beautiful part? Paxton and Cornyn are fighting each other now. The party is eating itself. They're not losing to Democrats. They're losing to their own people. 2 dudes arguing about who crashed the car while the car is still on fire. Practical advice for anyone in Texas. This is your moment, not 2028, not someday. Midterms are coming. You don't have to switch your whole identity. You just have to start showing up.
Go get my vote for Donald Trump, and here's why. I was told that I would not be allowed to drive anymore, and I was looking forward to being a passenger princess, but as you can see, I'm sitting in my car right now because if I want to run errands, I have to take myself. That's kind of wild, so the curbs better watch out. I was also told that with the last name Krolchak, I was getting deported to Poland, and I was kind of looking forward to the free trip, but instead I have to pay for myself to go abroad, so that's ridiculous. And having to work, are you kidding me? I was told that I was going to lose my right to work, but I still have to go to work every single day, so I'm feeling very lied to. I was told that that would happen with my vote for Donald Trump. I was told I wouldn't be allowed to vote anymore, that I wouldn't have to drive myself all the way to the voting precinct to cast my vote. But turns out I do still have to do that. It's not just for the men. So I'm feeling very lied to, and I can't believe I voted for Trump thinking all of that would happen.
Okay, this one's actually funny. I was promised I'd lose my rights, but I still have to drive myself to work. Comedy, passenger princess, that line is gold. But MAGA bros don't realize. She's making fun of you. You spent 2 years telling women nothing bad is going to happen. You're overreacting. Yeah, she can still drive, she can still vote, but in a lot of states now, she can't make her own medical decisions without a politician's permission. That part isn't a joke. The rights being taken aren't the ones you see on the highway. They disappear in doctors' offices, in courtrooms, in quiet policy changes that don't make headlines. But sure, laugh at the sarcasm. The joke's on you.
By the way, it's been 2 weeks since the killing occurred. Not one word from the Trump administration. Isn't that interesting? Not one word. The law and order president, the president that was supposed to restore prosperity and safety, make America safe again. Not one word about this case from the administration. I thought this was supposed to be a golden age. I thought Trump was supposed to be the best possible option. I thought Trump was implicitly pro-white, looking out for us. Nothing to say about this high-profile killing. When George Zimmerman killed Trayvon Martin, after Trayvon Martin savagely attacked him, you know what our black president said? You know what Barack Obama said? He said that if he had a son, his son would look like Trayvon Martin, the savage attacker who was killed by George Zimmerman 17 years ago. That's why this country is the way that it is. Because when a black person is killed by police, when a black person is killed by vigilantes or someone in self-defense like Daniel Penny, like George Zimmerman, like Derek Chauvin, it doesn't matter the circumstances. It doesn't matter the context. When one of them is killed, it's an attack on their whole community. They see it as a fallen family member. And so whether they're innocent or guilty, whether they provoked it or not, whether they had it coming or not, whether they ran from the cops or had a warrant, the black community turns out for their people. They protest, they riot, they fundraise, they show up. And even the president of the United States will make a ridiculous, inappropriate comment like that and say, if I had a son, he'd look like Trayvon Martin. And when white people get killed, nobody cares. When another young, innocent white person is murdered senselessly and brutally in cold blood, nobody cares.
Today, in the Midland, Texas newspaper headlines, they highlight what a complete disaster the domestic oil industry is in, thanks to Donald Trump and his handling of the tariffs and the prediction of a recession, and as well as Saudi Arabia's declaration that they're going to glut the market, and Donald Trump is in bed with them, basically, going to dinner, having their golf tournaments, and he's leaving West Texas out to dry. And West Texas funded Donald Trump's campaign bigly. So when the local Midland paper headlines turn against Donald Trump, he's in trouble. And folks, he's in bigly trouble. And it's time for the Democrats to step up and turn this country around. We're going to take the midterms. Breaking news from the Midland Reporter-Telegram. For the 10th week in a row, the drilling rig count has dropped in Texas. This is the first time since 2020 that for 10 consecutive weeks, the drilling rig count has gone down. Here in Midland, Texas, it is a ghost town since Trump took office. He has basically eviscerated the oil industry in Texas after he promised drill, baby, drill. And there were so many people in the Permian Basin that gave hundreds of thousands of dollars to Donald Trump's campaign because he promised to be good to the oil industry. Well, better luck next time, folks. Maybe you should vote Democrat.
Drill, baby, drill. Remember the chanting? Like it was a prayer? Well, drilling recount dropped 10 consecutive weeks. Midland is a ghost town. The Permian Basin, the heartbeat of American oil, is flatlined. And the guy who promised to save it, he's playing golf with the Saudis, the same people, flooding the market to crush domestic workers. These aren't Democrats getting hurt. These are the most loyal supporters in the country. People who wrote $100,000 checks, and they got repaid with dinner parties for the competition. That's like paying a bodyguard and watching him hold the door open for the burglar. Tariffs made equipment more expensive. Saudi flooding crashed prices, squeezed from both sides. Drill, baby, drill, turned into file for bankruptcy, baby. But hey, at least they own the libs, right?
Donald Trump's own supporters are now turning against him after he tried to blame Joe Biden for his stock market crash, which apparently they are not buying. Here's what Dave Portnoy, a prominent Trump voter with a huge following, just said on his X account in response to Donald Trump blaming Biden for the stock market crash he's overseen. Quote, "What's that old expression? Don't piss down my back and tell me it's raining?" Well, that applies here. The stock market is a direct reflection of Trump's first 100 days in office. Doesn't mean it won't get better and that we don't need to be patient, but this is his market, not Biden's. So not only did Portnoy correctly blame Donald Trump for the stock market crash that is ensuing before our eyes, but he also called out Donald Trump for lying and for gaslighting his supporters into believing that this is Joe Biden's stock market. I mean, we never see MAGAs get upset at Donald Trump for lying to them. The fact that they are now, Donald, you in danger.
When Dave Portnoy calls you out, it's over. This isn't CNN. This isn't some leftist commentator. This is Barstool. Dave, Pizza Review Dave, defended everything for years, and even he is saying, "Don't piss down my back and tell me it's raining." That quote should be on a billboard because for years the playbook has been simple. Anything goes wrong, blame someone else. Economy bad, previous guy's fault. Stock market crashes, still the previous guy, but you can't blame the last administration for a market that tanked after you took over. That's like crashing your own car and suing the dealership. When your own base starts spitting facts at you instead of defending you, that's the beginning of the end.
If you initially voted for Trump and now regret your choice, I need to see you at the forefront of all of the efforts against him. I need to see you showing up to protests, speaking about it, because you know what you did? You worked against all of the efforts that we put in to try and show everybody what the danger was. You tried to reverse all of that when you placed that vote, okay? So now you need to put in that work to try and help us. I'm not sitting here trying to make you feel bad, trying to put you down and shame you, okay? That's for another day. You can do that on your own time. My point here is, yes, you made a mistake. You did a bad thing. And now if you recognize that, it's time to take the step forward and help us fix it.
Y'all, I don't know if you've seen it, but I watched an interview with the Republicans. It was about 6 or 7 Republicans, and they was huddling around saying they regret putting Trump in office. They said that they will vote Democrat going forward. They will never vote another Republican because of how he's doing the country. Nobody is standing up to this man. They just letting him do what he wants. And the people are pissed on both sides, Democrat and Republican. But that's who y'all voted for. That's who y'all wanted in office. Y'all didn't want a strong black woman to run the country. Y'all wanted a clown to run the country, so y'all got a clown. But now y'all huddling around, Republicans and Democrats, y'all huddling around and saying y'all will never vote for another Republican because he shows you why not to vote for a Republican. He shows you how ignorant Republicans can be. So yes, now you see what we were saying when we said don't put a clown in office. He was in there the first time. The man didn't even show up to hand the presidency to the next person, to wish the next person well. He didn't even show up, but y'all gave him another chance in office. So now this is the results. He's running the country in the ground, and the Republicans are pissed. Democrats not just pissed, the Republicans are pissed. Voice your comments in the comments section. Like, repost, do it all. Because yes, I seen it, y'all. Y'all got to see it. They was talking and they said we will never, ever vote Republican again. The young man said, this is my first time voting and I regret it wholeheartedly. he just turned 18 or something. But he said this is his first time voting, and he votes Democrat going forward because he see what a Republican is capable of doing. Toodles.
The people of Texas are fed up. Donald Trump knows that his extreme policies have put congressional majority at risk. He's hurting the people of America by cutting Medicaid, cutting health care, holding up funding for public education. And what he's trying to do now, because he can't win in the midterms, he's trying to rig the elections. And he's colluding with Governor Abbott to steal 5 seats in the midterm elections from Texans. Texans are fed up. They're looking for leadership, and Greg Abbott has turned his back on them. So Texas Democrats are stepping up to fight for the people of our state. This isn't a Texas fight. This is an American fight. It's starting in Texas, but if this happens, all Americans will suffer. And so we must stop it. And we're asking all Americans to pay attention to what's happening, to rise up and help us resist.
Border communities begging for help, a 78-year-old Republican saying never again, Texas oil in free fall, first-time voters already regretting it. This isn't a crack in the wall. This is the wall falling. But regret is cheap. It costs nothing. What costs something is action, showing up, voting in midterms, having those uncomfortable conversations. To the ones still wearing the hat, look around. Your own people are leaving, not because they got brainwashed, because they opened their eyes. And to the ones who crossed over, welcome, but don't expect a parade. Expect to be put to work. Drop a comment, smash that like, subscribe, share this with someone who needs it. When the people who voted for the fire start complaining about the smoke, that's not tragedy. That's a lesson. Mind mirror, out.